Welcome to Marvel Vision, a podcast about Marvel, the MCU, and right now, X-Men 97.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so sad.
So sad.
I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm Pete. Oh, God.
And we are going to be talking about the season finale of X-Men 97, Tolerance is Extinction, Part 3. If you haven't checked it out on Disney+, please do go watch it. Pete is wearing his shades right now because he's been crying so hard.
I'm in mourning. It's just...
You're in Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah, nice.
So, very brief overview because so many wild things happen in this episode, but the team is split into two parts still. One is going after Bastion, the other is going after Magneto. The big cliffhanger in the last episode was that Magneto ripped out Wolverine's adamantium from his skeleton, so he is on the edge of death, but of course he is the best there is at what he does. What he does is heal.
Oh, come on, dude. Don't
healing.
ruin that moment. That was the touching moment between Cyclops and Comatose.
What? No, it was
What are
not.
you talking about?
That
Okay,
was-
I interrupted my own recap here. That's my bad.
That's your bad.
Over the
That
over
is
the
your
course of
bad.
this, we get a mind battle between Charles Xavier and Magneto as they try to reach an
Mind.
understanding. Xavier does reactivate the magnetism of the Earth in order to save everybody, but at the same time, that reactivates the Prime Sentinels. Don't worry, the Phoenix is there to shut it down. Shuts Bastion down, but that doesn't stop him. He decides to destroy Asteroid M to do an Age of Ultron, bring it down to the Earth, destroy the Earth. But the humans, led by President Kelly, as well as guest stars Captain America and Iron Man, are like, you know what we should do is we should blow up Asteroid M so it doesn't fall down to the Earth, but that brings it down to the Earth. So everybody's basically doing the same thing this episode. Ultimately, though, the X-Men work together to stop Asteroid M from falling, only bloop to end up being taken somewhere. Bishop reveals it's not where, it's when.
But when?
Seems the
And
same
in fact,
place
it's
two
multiple
different
time
times.
periods. We get Cyclops and Jean Grey are thrust into the far future. They meet Clan Ascani and Mother Ascani.
Mother Scunny.
Very simple, easy character to understand that we'll get into later in the episode. And back in time, a bunch of the X-Men encounter En Sabah, a.k.a. Apocalypse, in the future.
Yes.
And then in case you missed it, there's a
Tell about the
mid-credit
purple
scene
jaw.
with a big, big tease for what's coming down the pike in season 2. We're going to talk about all of that. There are so many cameos, so many Easter eggs, so many big things going down. But let's, as usual, for the end of the season, start with the broad strokes overview.
Vision board.
No opening credits. We're going to talk about the Marvel flip because it was dramatic. It was, really had some gravitas to it for the last episode.
It was the
Pete,
same as
actually,
always.
we should talk about an item of news that you got to be excited about. So at the upfronts this week, Marvel was talking about a lot of their live action stuff. They didn't talk about any animated stuff, but they announced that they're going to have a brand new banner that has never been seen before called Marvel Television. And that's going to be for their live action series. They're going to have Marvel Animation for their animated series. And then, of course, Marvel Studios for their filmic movies that are in movie theaters. This is great. So many flips coming your way, Pete. Are you psyched?
That is so sick. That news is so huge.
Wait,
from
wait,
a
wait.
title card point of view, the fact that they're dropping a 1 to 3 second new title card that says words that we don't need or care about.
First off, how dare you? Back up the truck. The Marvel flip sets the tone for the whole goddamn thing. You get a bad flip in there, you're done for. You might as well walk away. It's the flip that starts it all, my friend.
You act like they have to try and do this every time, and they barely pull it off. Like they're like, oh man,
But
we
they
almost had a
do.
bad flip out there.
Yeah, there's somebody like scrambling down the hallway, sliding, almost tripping, getting to the broadcast center at the last second,
Just
putting
in
that
time.
VHS tape in.
Yeah.
You know it.
I know. I love the artisanship of pressing copy and paste in Premiere, Adobe Premiere, to move that flip over.
Hey, it still counts. It still counts, man. Any little thing makes a big difference. You guys
let's
are
turn from
mocking
the
the flip.
spicy Italian flip to talk about the spicy Italian meatball that is this entire season. How'd you guys feel about this? How did you feel about all 10 episodes as a whole? And moreover, to make this more challenging, how does this rank against Marvel Studios' TV output so far?
I mean, if we're just ranking it against the team, well, first off, let's say I loved this. I thought this built super well. There were some episodes that I was like, oh, this is definitely sort of like a little divot, but that serves the larger tapestry when you're telling stories that are this like emotionally charged, plot in crazy, like so much plot injected into these.
Oh my God.
These animated, half hour pluses that we have here. And it's something I grew to look forward to every week. I'm going to be really sad going forward until we get the second season. And that's what I was going to say in relation to other Marvel television. This is maybe my favorite and the only show that I've been really hanging on to get to the next episode.
Wow.
Pete, what about you? Where do you
Well,
land on this?
first off, I don't know about your meatball comparison, but I do think that overall this was a hell of a season of television and deserves to be talked about in the greats for sure. Yeah, this was a real emotional roller coaster. It was almost like they fast forwarded comics in a way that was emotional and enjoyable and fun to watch. So yeah, I mean, I definitely put it in top tier as far as Marvel television is concerned. I don't know if it's top 5, top 10, but definitely up there in the conversation.
Not even top 10, you think?
That's what I'm
somewhere in
saying.
the
Top 10,
20.
top 10 or top 5 is what I'm saying.
They've done like 10 shows, so.
Yeah, exactly. It's just in there.
Well, are
Already
we
in there.
talking like live
No,
action?
we're talking
or is it-
Marvel Studios, now Marvel Animation. So that includes WandaVision, Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, What If as well, while we're throwing in both the animated and the live action.
Well, of course,
stuff
What
together.
If.
But
Yeah.
WandaVision on. That's what we're talking about here.
Okay, yeah.
Do you have an answer? You can think about
Yeah,
it.
I would say top 10. I mean, I love
Again,
this,
there's 10
but
series.
Great. It's in there.
It's on television.
Yeah,
These
I
days.
mean, as
This
for
is
what
definitely, I agree with you, Pete. This is definitely one of the shows we've watched.
WandaVision was very creative and really fun, and I almost brought a cartoonish feel to it. I'm not going to put this in front of that, but I do think it deserves to be, in the discussion for top because it is great.
I'll make the case.
Can I throw out there? I agree with you guys. Love the season. I agree with you on the hanging on it, Justin, because I was definitely avidly looking forward to and excited to watch every new episode versus a lot of the theorizing that went on between some of the other shows where it felt more like, okay, I got to like get my head straight and figure out this puzzle that may or may not pan out. This was purely enjoyable pretty much from week to week. I just had, regardless of whether we were correct or not in our guesses, and we were very correct in the last episode, missed a lot in this episode, but that's okay. It's all a super
We
fun
hit some
time.
mages, though, I thought.
Yeah, we hit some of the mages.
I called the Hulk clap.
MAJs.
The I've been wrestling with this a little bit in terms of ranking them because like I haven't revisited WandaVision. I have watched Loki again. I watched it again with my son, and those.
So you thought of this question and then sprung it on us and are mad at us for not being better at just fucking asking something.
Yeah, that's how podcasts work.
Okay, cool, man.
Also,
give
you
us a
couldn't
heads
have-
up next time, Dick.
You couldn't have
I'll-
predicted the question, how did this rank versus everything else?
I asked this literally.
I just
every
finished
finale.
crying watching this fucking episode.
When did
Sorry,
you watch it? When did you watch it?
earlier today.
Wow, that's restraint, man.
I know. I watched it as soon as my kids were out the door.
Did you get up at 3:00 in the morning, Zelvatron?
No, but I did get up at 4:30. So
Wow.
Wow, really falling asleep at the switch over there. 4:30.
Anyway, I don't know if this is the best Marvel TV show, but I do think it's the most consistent Marvel TV show. And what I mean by that is
Of all time?
WandaVision, which like phenomenal genre-defying series, excuse me, kind of fumbled it and became like a little just like classic MCU witch blasts towards the end there in that last episode. Loki 2 really fumbled the bag in my opinion with season 2, even though there's a lot of stuff that I really liked about it.
Season
Yes,
1, though. Come on.
Season 1's great. Season 1 of this, though, first episode to the last, great stuff. So I'm
Well,
going
and
to
let me
put
say-
it top 3, Pete.
Top three, nice. I like, everyone's afraid to put a number next to it, but it's just put in a little bucket.
I'll put 3.
But
how about 3? Does that work?
Number 3, after WandaVision and Loki season.
WandaVision, Loki, X-Men 97.
The thing I would say about that is this show doesn't have to do a lot of the stuff they were doing, especially vis-a-vis the way they were being made. Like WandaVision was like, when's this coming out? Is this the first television show? They didn't know that when they were making it, and they didn't know where they had to land the characters. So that makes it really hard to, have it be consistent and be writing towards something when it's like, we'll tell you where you're going and like right before you get there. It's a very difficult way to make anything. I think the same with Loki for the most part. This, I thought, was operating with confidence, with a clear idea throughout. Never once did it feel like it was wavering. And so while it is a different process, I think this, if you're just looking at the product, this is way better. This is my number 1.
Wow.
Because it really does, it is what it is, and it drives the whole time. And it was, from just a TV point of view, one of the most emotionally satisfying shows, including all television, not just Marvel, I feel like, this year for sure.
Yeah. Great stuff. Glad we all agree. Why don't we jump into the episode itself? Lots of different places we could start, but why don't we start with what the show starts with, which is the relationship between Charles Xavier and Magneto as they discuss and battle.
This is the veal parm of the episode, if we're still keeping this Italian food thing going.
Oh, like the thing that you shouldn't eat anymore?
Always.
What?
Veal. It's veal. You shouldn't have veal. Right?
Okay.
For years, for decades at this point.
What a great comment on the
parm,
Professor X
then.
Magneto relationship.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, the chicken parm of the season. I thought this was really well done. I like this was a nice swerve at the beginning, jumping back in time. They did a nice trick at the beginning in the opening credits where they were like, oh, we're going to show you the two of them working together in these lab coats. That's where we're picking up here. But nope, it's actually in the mindscape. I really liked all these sequences. I like these discussions. I thought they, given the themes of the season, ended in a nice place for the relationship as well.
In the opening credits, we do see, I think the new shot, or I don't remember when we saw it before, is Professor X and Magneto, I want to say in the Savage Land. A quick cut of that in the credits, and then we jump right into them. I thought this transition, them sort of coming out to each other as mutants, which I thought was really great.
Yeah, that was really touching.
Establishing their connection as that is then tested to the extreme throughout the rest of the episode. And the transition from it feeling like a flashback to realizing it's happening in Professor X and Magneto's mindscape, I thought was so smartly done. What a win. That's innovation right there.
Yeah, it was really well done. I mean, I knew it was mind chess because it's like, who wears lab coats to a bar? You know what I mean? Like, take off the coats. But I do.
Well, what are you saying? You're out there. You're wearing your work clothes. You're wearing, like, say you're wearing your improv T-shirt, Pete. You're gonna wear that to the bar.
If I'm wearing an improv T-shirt, that means I got nothing on, bro. You know what I mean?
What? You're Donald Duckin?
No, I'm saying
reverse ducking.
Your improv, whatever you say, like, this is my improv hammer. I'm not really holding a hammer because it's improv. You know what I mean?
Oh, just like when you're wearing an improv shirt, you're not really wearing a shirt.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You're wearing a different shirt, but hopefully you have a shirt.
No, you're not
on.
wearing a shirt.
That's why I do this fun thing whenever I'm about to have sex with someone where I'm like, hold on, let me take off all my improv clothes. But I'm already naked. And I just keep doing it until the sex doesn't happen.
They gotta love. Oh, until it doesn't happen. I was gonna say it probably drives them wild with anticipation.
And wipe.
You're like, hold on, I forgot to take off my cummerbund.
Yes, my
Let me
improv
just make
cummerbund.
this sandwich from the cabinet.
Hey, put a little
Comedians
Miracle
are
Whip.
fun.
You use Miracle Whip.
Peanut butter for me in my sandwich. Everybody, by the way, for anybody listening to this, everybody has their own improv kitchen where when they panic, they go into the kitchen, open up the cabinet, start making a sandwich. But we all have our own sandwiches, so there you go.
Kirk Brownholer move right there.
Yeah.
Nice. Great name check. Anyway, back to this highly emotionally charged television show we're talking about. And then we see Professor X. Again, this show, like the comic books right now that made by Marvel, makes Professor X into a bad guy. Like,
does it?
Magneto, he takes over. He takes over
mind
Magneto's
wipes
brain.
him, basically. Yeah.
he takes over Magneto's brain in a way that is like sort of not cool. We really feel it from Magneto's perspective throughout. Like this show rides with Magneto, I think, pretty intensely.
Pretty hard, yeah.
I don't disagree with that. Like, I do think they're definitely more on the side of Magneto. He's been in the season more, so like I think they're going to
Magneto
lean
was
on
right.
his emotional journey more, going from a place where he was a villain, he came in, took over for Xavier. How does that change? What does he become now? So I think that's what they're playing with. I do disagree that Xavier is a bad guy here. We don't step back from the idea that invading somebody else's mind is inherently wrong. Like they deal with that, and that is an uncomfortable truth. But at the same time, they're dealing with the death of the entire planet in mere hours at this point, and he makes
And then again in mere seconds.
Yes.
Yeah.
As the episode goes
Also,
on.
what about the fact that he left? He left to go get space married. You know what I mean? His team was, in the breeze.
He was sick. They took him. The Shi'ar took him to heal him, and then he fell in love.
Yeah, all right.
Or he
I mean, if you're going to get married, space married is pretty sick.
Yeah.
It's better than swamp married.
Hey.
Have you ever had sex in space, actually? Like on your honeymoon or whatever, where you're like taking off the clothes, the improv clothes, and they're just kind of floating away?
Yeah.
That's fun.
My improv clothes do the craziest things.
Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yes. So Professor X makes a decision here. And by the way, these not paddles, but like these frames, the way this action plays out is almost exactly what happens in the Fatal Attractions crossover. So that was pretty neat. They apparently like very much agreed on, this is just kind of what it needs to look like when it's happening. So that was very cool. He saves the planet. The end result is that it reactivates the Prime Sentinels, but also, I would say, to Professor Xavier's credit, he doesn't at any point back off from leaving Magneto behind, even when it means that he might die himself. Pete...
Okay, all right. First off, I gotta agree with Justin here. Xavier doesn't kind of tell him the truth, what's going on. He lies to him about the reality of what's going on. He tries to ease him in a very patient, loving way that a real friend would do for somebody. And you're right, Alex. At no point is he ever considering leaving him. But it's also because he knows his mind and theirs are kind of intertwined and he can't. But I think he does do a lot of great things, but it's not like he's honest with him. It's like, hey, listen, bro, you started getting crazy. I had to fucking mind wipe you, but here we go. Let's restart. You know what I mean? It's very kid gloves and kind of talking down to Magneto a little bit. And I think that Justin's right on this. He does do some good things, and it's very nice about it, but he's also kind of being a dick.
Well, he's definitely manipulating him, sort of on both ends, and he's doing it for "quote unquote" the right reasons.
Yeah, it's like a parent who makes kids do the right thing, but it's it's for their own good and not for their kind of understanding of it all.
I do think it's interesting though that Professor X and the X-Men in general, this show doesn't shy away from them having to take extreme measures to do what they believe needs to be done, and in this case, it is saving the world. They pay a price, and they've paid a lot of prices this season. And Professor X doing what he did unapologetically and sort of like without explanation. I think it just positions the philosophy, I guess, of the X-Men in a different place than it was in previous seasons of this show, and definitely in the comic books back in the day.
Well, I understand what you're saying. The two things that I'd say in response to that: one, I agree with Pete about the kids' gloves, and I do think maybe an easier way to go, which is the way I thought they were going when Magneto came back in the Mindscape and was like, I don't know who I am, is that Xavier pushes him in a direction he wants to push him in. Instead, the way that they play it is Xavier slowly allows Magneto to come back to himself because that's the person he believes is ultimately going to do the right thing, both for Magneto, for the X-Men, and for mutant kind, as well as ultimately for humankind as well. So Xavier puts himself in a position where he could be like, I'm gonna tweak this Magneto a little bit, so he's the Magneto I need him to be, but he doesn't do that. Instead, he's like, nope, come back to yourself.
There's a little bit of that.
There's not, like, he's coaching him, but ultimately the moment of him being like, I am Magneto at the end.
That was badass. I mean, that was unbelievable. That was just
Super
amazing.
badass. Yes.
Yeah.
It was cool. And I would say, though, it's interesting that because he probably could have done that rather than take over his mind. He could have just showed him that and convinced him that he should not let the Earth die, let
Right.
all technology go away. But instead, he forcibly takes him and then does the same thing to try to win him over. So that's what I'm saying. Like, these are choices that you're making and showing Professor X and the X-Men to be a certain thing when they could have easily done it.
I mean, clearly I've turned into some sort of Professor X defender, but like he's
Yeah.
pushed to that point because Magneto crosses the line by ripping out Wolverine's adamantium.
Yeah, but Wolverine also jumped. And listen, I'm Team Wolverine. If
Oh,
it's
you're
not clear.
anti-Wolverine, Pete.
No, I'm just
He
saying.
overreacted.
He was defending himself because Wolverine was trying to kill him. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah, Magneto
yeah.
was right.
yeah. So it is a lot of tough decisions. Now, one thing that I thought was going to happen, I would be interested in what you guys would thought. I
Real quick,
thought
before you go to that, Pete, just if you ever try to punch me or get near me, I'm gonna pull the bones out of your bones.
Well,
I'm
I think
Bone
whoa,
Magneto.
whoa.
I'm Bone Magneto.
No,
I
there's
can
a
move
difference
bones.
between punching you and having giant claws and stabbing you through the back to try to kill you. You know
But
what I mean?
I'm sorry, I just
We
wanna-
should
this
be
is
able
just
to
for-
go fisticuffs without you murdering me. You
Nope,
know what
I
I mean?
bones.
sincerely apologize for interrupting this, and please do continue after I'm done. I just want to clarify for our podcast listeners that Pete's bones are laced with other bones.
That's
Yeah,
true.
He's
I'm
got
double boned.
bone-laced bones. Yeah. And my name, as I think I've
double
established
the
on this
bones.
podcast, is Bonito.
Do you feel bonita today?
Wait, before I forget this, can I mention has nothing to do with this discussion, but my absolute favorite Professor X moment in the episode is when Jean and Scott are talking with their minds. They're like, "We have to coordinate two teams at the same time." And Professor X is like, "Excuse me, update
Yes.
from Professor X here."
I know. I was like, that was so weird. It was very, it just, again, it's his Professor X's philosophy. Is a little more aggressive.
Yeah. It was like the party line thing from Bye Bye Birdie, where it's just like, whoop, oh, I'm here, goodbye. And they're like,
Yeah, everybody knows
okay,
that
back to the
reference.
conversation we were having
Yeah.
previously. So funny.
Hey guys, Professor X, did you guys get beer? Because when everyone's coming over, I just want to know if you guys picked up the beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the beer. Okay.
It was nice to see them finally work together in unison, though. I know they kind of really called that out and set it up, but it was nice to see them all working together.
The whole
Because,
team, you mean?
yeah, because it does get frustrating with the infighting a lot. So it was nice to kind of finally see, against all odds, you guys can pull it off. And,
Well, this is an overall season thing, but something the movies have struggled with a lot is team dynamics. It's always like,
Yeah.
it is never that thing that you're talking about, Pete. It's very rarely the whole team working in concert, other than that one shot spinning around in the Avengers or that sort of thing. And then everybody's like, we all stood here for a moment. We got the shot. Good. Okay. Everybody split up and do your own thing. To your point, the fact that like they do have the mutants working together in X-Men, and like we talked about a couple of episodes back with Wolverine, that nobody is really front loaded on this series. Everybody gets relatively equal time with some exceptions.
Yeah.
I thought was very well done, particularly in this last episode.
Well, and that's such an interesting point that the movies don't quite nail it. And I think all the movies, or most of the movies, are made like action movies, where everyone does sort of not get along, and then like pulls it together right at the end for one moment. When the way comics work more so, especially the X-Men, is they're all like, it's like they're a Swiss Army knife of a team, and it has to be them working together. That's the point. And they start to combine their powers, and suddenly it's like, we did it together. And that's just a totally different understanding of how plot and action sort of move forward, I feel like.
Yeah. I do want to touch on, go ahead, Pete.
One point I was trying to bring up before was, they were talking a lot about family and then sacrifice, and then Cyclops was like, yeah, I'm going to kind of sacrifice myself for the team, and I got very excited, but then it didn't happen. So
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You know what? You got to put this anti-Cyclops away, because I thought this was a great Cyclops.
it was a great Cyclops episode. He went like Super Saiyan with his laser beam, which was, so exciting.
Yeah. Do you think that was a reference to the video games? Like, didn't he have that as his final attack in the Capcom game, where it was like filling
the
the whole
super wide
Yeah.
blast. I do think it was a visual reference to that. But like the two things I want to say, like when he's talking to Wolverine.
You mean Coma Wolverine?
Coma Wolverine.
Yeah.
Coma Wolverine? No. He says, don't
Comb
break her
over
heart.
Wolverine?
Don't break her heart. I was like, damn, that's fucked up, dude.
Yeah.
He's like,
Oh, what are you talking about? Morph playing with his emotions when he turns into
No,
Jean
that was
Grey?
okay. Well, we can talk about that in a second, but
I want to talk about what you guys didn't think was a nice moment, but I was very moved by.
oh,
What?
okay, well, tell us that in 1 second. But
Okay.
I'm saying that Cyclops saying to Wolverine,
Yeah.
don't break her heart. That's a wild thing to say to someone who's your romantic rival that you've won forever against.
Yeah.
But I
mean,
love
that's-
that line. I love the complexity of that line, the amount of things that were going on there, because I agree with you. I was like, ugh, but also, this is great.
It's owning the relationships in your life.
But to talk about the more
Also, is he conceding? Like, what was that? I didn't get that line at
No,
all.
that was giving him motivation. Like, he knows that Wolverine is in love with Jean Grey. That was an admission that he is 100% aware of it and aware that they have a relationship, even though he clearly doesn't like it. And telling him that to like keep him going, because at the same time as he's pissed off at Wolverine all the time, he doesn't want him to die. You know, he wants him to get out of that.
I thought it was fucked up. I thought it was fucked up when he whispered, "You're never gonna date her down, no bones." That's not cool.
They must have cut that out of my episode.
Well, but thematically, that also parallels what we're talking about with Xavier and Magneto, right? Like, it's all about these rivalries that happen where, what was the line? Like, blood is blood and family is family, whatever the thing Nightcrawler said.
Blood in, blood out, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what he said.
Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary.
Oh, no, don't
I only
finish
said it three
it.
times.
What?
I only said it three times. Two
That's
more
the
times.
number.
What are you, a psychopath?
Saying it three. Wait, you have to say it 5 times?
Yeah, I think
No.
you have to say it 5 times in a mirror.
No, it's 3, you dick.
Does this count as some sort of black mirror, if you will? This,
I've never thought of it that way before. It's
doing
definitely
right
not.
now?
You definitely don't have to say it 5 times.
Like,
I
what
think
the
3.
fuck? Yeah, it was
3
3.
is the
number
number.
times for
3.
Candyman. Candyman was
3.
5 to
3.
7 times.
It's always
No.
3. Beetlejuice 3. Candyman 3.
Beetlejuice
Like,
was 3. I really think Bloody Mary and Candyman are more times than that.
oh my God, no.
If that's true, that's insane. You have to
What
be
is
like,
I
happening?
agree.
Oh, no.
I'm not disagreeing with you. It should be 3 times, but I think it's
Wait,
more than
what did you say?
Cyclops
Don't
says
say,
to Wolverine.
don't say Candyman 12 times. He might.
86
arrive.
times. It's 86. Anyways. Cyclops
Take
go.
Candyman 1 time for every type of candy in the supermarket.
I thought
he might show up.
Cyclops was admitting that Wolverine is very good and a big part of the team and saying like, hey man, heal up. We need you. I thought it was a nice moment. You guys didn't see it as that?
It is really nice, especially for the team member that just laid down the whole time when they were having their biggest crisis.
Oh, dude, you gonna blame him? He got
He
his
seemed
bones
awful
whipped
tired.
out. Yo,
He seemed
if
awful
you
tired.
ever get hurt, I'm gonna just show up
I
and
don't know
like,
if you've,
come
I don't
on,
know
let's
if you
go.
heard this before, but Wolverine is the best there is at what he does. What he does is heal, but he did not do that very well this episode.
No, he didn't heal very well.
How long does it take
In
you
fact,
to...
he's completely gone. He's gone at the end. Like, where even is he? He just
And
poofed
I
into
will say,
nothing.
one of my predictions last week was we were going to see Bone Claws this episode, and I was really surprised that we didn't. Not only did we not see Bone Claws, we had just no Wolverine after the big end last time. That was one of the most striking things, and we don't know where he is. I'm sure he's going to have a big part going forward, but very surprising.
Well, let's talk about the morph thing, though, because I thought that was great and complicated as well. Having Morph turn into Jean to say I love you to, again, motivate Wolverine, but it was 100% clearly confirming what we've thought about Morph, that there is something romantic going on there between the two of them, and it was Morph confessing love for Wolverine, actual romantic love. I thought that was really nicely done.
I thought that was just him more fucking with people because apparently his favorite thing to do is just play with people's emotions.
It 100% was not. That is absolutely what's happening, and that's what my impression was. And then also Bo DeMeo, the showrunner who was fired for unknown reasons. I mention that every time just so people don't forget. But he went online and confirmed that as well, that was in fact Morph confessing feelings for Wolverine.
It's cool. Very small moment with big emotional implications. I also liked
Kind of messed up.
The morph. What?
It's
Saying
it's
I love you?
it's complicated
No,
in the
saying
same
I
way
love
that the
you
Scott.
is nice, but disguising yourself as somebody else,
But that's the only way they can do it. That's the only way Morph is able to tell Wolverine how they feel about.
Hey, I've seen Roxanne. Okay, I fucking bleed rom-coms. Don't tell me about that shit. All right.
Oh man, you need to get that treated. Your rom-com bleeding.
Also, Morph doing the absolute most in terms of turning into other things. His turning into Sauron to just like go to the floor. That was a lot. But I
How
did like
about
the
Morph?
Oh,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say Mr. Fantastic is the other one he turns into.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that was cool.
Great fun surprise. The Morph roast of Sinister at the end, I was like,
Oh, dude, that was brutal. That
Got
dude,
him.
dude,
Got
Morph is.
What did you think about Mr. Sinister going to the beach that turns you old from the M. Night Shyamalan movie?
great reference.
Yeah,
Great
it's a
reference
sick
to
ref.
establish.
It's nice to see. No, because you don't get to. Mr. Sinister doesn't get a lot of like character development. To show that he's a cinephile is just a nice little addition. You know what I mean?
He likes the deep cut Shyamalan movies.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, not the Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear from you, Justin, about Sinister, because in this episode we get to see him really be a flunky for Bastion in a way where that's been like kind of bubbling in the background, and I know has been annoying you a little bit, but ultimately when Jean turns into the Phoenix, she rips literally the DNA out of him and returns him to being an old man.
Turns him
That's
into
his
a dead
whole
man.
thing. What'd you think, Justin?
I really liked the Phoenix moment. I thought that was cool and a great way to defeat him. He's been
epic.
He's been thieving DNA from mutants for all this time to punish him in that same way and leave him alive but absolutely withered, only left with his true self. I thought was great with a nice exclamation point that Morph put on it. I do agree with you though that like Mr. Sinister was sort of misused throughout the season. It felt like a strange choice to have this powerful mutant villain that has been a villain throughout the entire series used here as sort of a flunky who only gets tooled on. And surprising that then Bastion becomes the prime villain. But I will say I really enjoyed that. Bastion in this episode I thought was a great villain.
I wonder if it's that they needed Sinister to sort of get the pieces in the right place, particularly Cable, Jean Grey getting her to be the Phoenix. There's the connection to the Summers family, of course, and Madeline Pryor, among other things. But Bastion is the one with the much stronger parallel to our main characters because they've tweaked him so that he is a mutant technopath. So that works better as a villain versus Sinister that, like, I don't know how it parallels what we're trying to say about the characters necessarily.
Yeah.
You think it was messed up how Cable was talking shit about his mom? He was like, "Hey, how's your mommy?" And I was like, "Ooh, that's kind of fucked up."
Wait, what was that line?
Oh, you mean Bastion was talking shit to Cable?
Yeah, no, Cable was like, "Hey, how's your mommy?" Knowing that his mom.
that
was
to Bastion.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was messed up.
She's probably doing okay now. They're all not Prime Sentinels. Let's talk about the Bastion thing a little bit because I agree with you. I thought he was a great villain at the end of the day. We got to see a bunch of different looks and power-ups throughout.
Sick, but like chin beard.
It got longer. It's pretty sweet.
I was like, wow, what a weird
Dude.
choice.
When he was beating Cable with his own arm, I was like, "Holy shit, this episode's going hard." And then like uses that to fucking get to his final
Archangel
form.
up.
Yeah, that was.
But what did you think, though, of the ending here, where they pretty much have Bastion to a point where they haven't quite beaten him, but it's a stalemate. The Sentinel is stepping on him. He's trying to hold it back. His face is falling off. And Cyclops goes the route of being like, "You're a mutant. Come join our Fast and Furious family. Let's all be together." Pete, I'm curious to hear from you because you love that when the villains of the Fast and Furious series become part of the family.
Yeah, it's a big thing. No, I just think that it was a real interesting moment where, like, I thought just Cyclops was charging up his visor, and he was just like thinking about things, and then was like, "Hey, let's try talking this out." And then Bastion laughed at him. He was like, "You're trying to appeal to my humanity, bro. That's long gone." Another example of being a bad leader and making bad choices. But I think it was a sweet idea. But I wish Beast would have just finished stepping on him.
I disagree. I thought this was fantastic. I thought this final battle on Asteroid M was great. Everyone got to have like a nice little moment. Well, not everyone, I guess, but many people did. Cyclops gets to cut loose, go head to head. Jubilee gets a moment. I love
it. Jubilee whooping ass.
She wrecked his face, like, slay me with the 4th of July, and then she does. I thought that was great.
Well, and also just quick little thing, she used the spinning attack that she learned back in the Motendo episode, which I thought was a nice note as well.
Agreed. I thought Beast showing up in the Sentinel was a cool moment, and then he ruined it with a weird line.
Yeah, he did. He did.
And then also in the final battle, just to mention about Beast, when he's like, the whole team needs to work together. And it's like, okay, Rogue is outside pushing on it. And Storm's using her weather powers. And Jean Grey's using her telekinesis. And Beast is in there like typing as fast as he can, as fast as his little fingers can go. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you hacking?
He's changing power to different things. Yeah, he was doing it.
No, he was hiring a team of oil rig drillers to come to the asteroid and break it up so that they could save the Earth.
Not the other way around, training astronauts to be oil drillers.
That doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, you can't do that. I've been drilling my whole life. Yeah. I just think that Beast, it was weird because I was really excited. I thought we were going to get like the last line, my stars and garters, but he goes, oh dear. And I was like, what?
I thought that was funny.
I will say that's my favorite Beast moment of the whole season. For sure.
Oh dear?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really funny, low-key line to end on, which made me laugh.
It was like halfway between Quantum Leap Scott Bakula saying, oh boy, and Winnie the Pooh saying, oh dear, when he can't get his honey or whatever.
Oh my God. I want to finish talking about all these cameos we got because like Alpha Flight showed up, Cloak and Dagger.
Wait, I have a question for you guys about the Alpha Flight thing because you have Puck, Aurora, North Star, Psylocke is also there, who is not on Alpha Flight. And then
I like seeing Psylocke.
It was great seeing Psylocke.
Great seeing Psylocke. Was that Frenzy or who was that?
Frenzy is a good call. I don't know. I was taking notes so quickly. I was like, and I got a little caught up on seeing Psylocke, and she did something that I think looked like it was the sum totality of her psychic powers.
I never heard that before.
It charged up into her psychic knife.
Oh gosh!
But we also got. But we got Black Panther, we got Cloak and Dagger. Also, King T'Challa had a nice moment there where he was trying to talk down the president.
Wait, can we talk about this for a second? Because this has become a big argument online. So it was Black Panther. We get to see the Dora Milaje in their looks from Black Panther and Black Panther Wakanda Forever, straight for the movie. But it was not T'Challa, it's T'Chaka. T'Chaka. And
I clocked that.
There's a lot of folks very frustrated about it, and they're frustrated because obviously Chadwick Boseman very suddenly passed away. It's very upsetting. Marvel Studios live action has been like, we're not going to recast the part. We're not going to have somebody new as T'Challa. That's not what's going to happen. Spoilers for Wakanda Forever, but they've kicked off a new legacy. We're probably going to see somebody new beyond Shuri becoming the Black Panther, specifically his son, at some indeterminate point in the future. But in animation as well, at least with What If, we've only seen T'Chaka. Here, we've only seen T'Chaka. And as some folks have pointed out, this show is actually very faithful to the 90s animated series, not just X-Men, but we could probably talk about this in a second. They wildly had a resolution of a cliffhanger from the 94 Spider-Man animated series in this episode. They had the Iron Man from the 90s animated series as well. In the 90s animated series, Black Panther does show up, and it is T'Challa. So people are like, why didn't you just have T'Challa here? Just bring him on. It's okay to throw somebody in. What do you guys think about this?
Too soon.
I mean, really? I feel like I think they're looking back and looking forward at the same time, and they were like, I feel like they just didn't want to touch that as and ironically, they're changing it to T'Chaka. I think made it more of an issue than they wanted it to be.
I don't know. I thought it was a smart choice. I just think it's a kind of a open wound still a little bit, so it feels a little bit weird to see Black Panther knowing Black Panther is dead. So still wanting to have Wakanda a part of the conversation. I appreciate the fact that the voice of reason kind of was nice, where the president was like, I ended up being an asshole anyway and firing missiles at it, but at least I heard him out, and it seemed like maybe he was going to listen. So I thought it was cool.
I do think it's a little bit of a catch-22 here because animation is the perfect opportunity to have a voice of T'Challa. Like Josh Keaton is doing the voice of Captain America. It's not like they're like, nope, Chris Evans or nothing. They have somebody else doing it. So here they could have gotten somebody else to do the voice of T'Challa, but at the same time, same way T'Chaka becomes the story, then that becomes the story. It becomes a literal international news story. Marvel recasts Chadwick Boseman with blank, even though that's 100%
damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Exactly. So I don't know. I don't have a good solution there necessarily, but I do think it was interesting to see people discussing this online. Plenty of other cameos to go through, though, Pete. Do you want to keep reading your list, I assume?
Yeah, Daredevil was awesome to see. Holy shit.
Doc Strange.
Doctor Strange. Oh, man. It was... that is fun about this show is they give us kind of little flashes of different stuff, and the apocalypse with the purple chin.
This show loves Omega Red. We see a lot of Omega Red. Weirdly, Dark Star. I thought that was cool. Fun that we get to see when the Silver Samurai's eyes was watching the planet be saved the first time, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. And we do get, just to loop back to the Spider-Man thing, just in case folks mixed it. So Peter Parker and Mary Jane are there watching stuff on TV at the end. And I had to look this up, full admission. I don't remember this, and I don't think I ever really watched the 90s Spider-Man animated TV show. But it went in some wild directions. I probably watched it at some point, but it went in some wild directions where Mary Jane died, and then she came back, and there were multiversal versions of her. And then the last episode, Spidey went through this whole multiversal adventure where he met Stan Lee, and ultimately his reward for saving the day was that he got to go back and be with Mary Jane again, but you never got to see that on the TV show. So this was providing resolution for something that happened almost 3 decades ago, where that was the 94 Spider-Man, Peter Parker, back together with Mary Jane, even briefly, which is pretty cool.
I ship that. Cool. I ship that hard.
Wow, bold move, shipping Peter Parker and Mary Jane.
Hey, you don't do it.
Did you just start doing that?
You don't do it, so don't fucking come at me, bro, all right?
Oh, I'm going to pull your bones out so hard.
While we're talking about random stuff, I really love the scene in the diner with Cable and Cyclops and Jean Grey saying goodbye to him. That
oh my God.
That got me. Like a lot of the episode, I was like, I got choked up watching that scene. I thought that was a really beautiful goodbye, getting to see Cyclops' eyes and just like, my eyes are your eyes. I thought was really, really wonderful. Very well done.
I love you, son. The fact that there's all this sort of dubious, like, are we a family given everything that's happened? And they really are, and they sort of make that, I thought was great. And then I love the transition from that, I'm crying, when they all come together and we get this operatic version of the theme song.
The theme song? Yeah, oh my God.
I was like, I can't believe how hard I'm on board with this right
now. Yeah, they were really pulling at my heartstrings there to go from that to then the different theme song. But the fight, like Rogue, like punching the shit out of him, and then Jubilee, and then Cyclops, like that was, I was having Sunspot saying Sunspot, like I was giggling out loud, laughing and having so much fun seeing this fight sequence. It was just so much fun.
Rogue saying "Remember it," great moment there as well.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Just to highlight the gambit of their 3 sort of gambit things. First off, Rogue's like, the cards are always in the X-Men's favor. I was like, all right, that's a gambit thing. It's not. You don't have to say that.
You talk about cat things, not
your whole thing is like rocking chairs and cattails, lady. But I do think that was an important thing to say as a subtle setup to our post-credit sequence. But yeah, the name's Gambit, remember it. It was great. They land in an old Apocalypse moon base or something?
So it was definitely, I was a little confused about this, and maybe this is something from the original animated series. It's definitely the blue area of the moon. People have been asking, how do they breathe there? And that was also my question when I was watching it. It was like, how are they breathing in space? And then they landed there. In the comics, if folks listening don't know, there is an area of the moon where Uatu, the Watcher, lives, as well as the Inhumans and other folks, and there is air on that pocket of the moon. But I agree with you. That looked like an apocalypse temple up there, which I think was a tease for what happens at the end.
I think so too. And then just finishing the gambit, we have the post credit where Apocalypse, who we've now seen 3 times essentially. Now, I mean, he's not Mother Ascani, but that's an apocalypse story.
Well, yes. Well, hold on. Well, let's talk about the end as a chunk, if that's okay.
Yeah, I also wanted to go back to
the gambit card at the end. I thought was the second part.
The breathing and spacing was ridiculous. I mean, I think, is it Nightcrawler rescues Jubilee in space and she can just breathe just fine? I don't know.
Again, they're near the blue area of the moon, the area that has...
I don't know about that, bro. It seemed like they were away from it, like in a different area.
It's very big. It's like a sort of like a tall dome of air. It's not like a short dome of air.
Yeah, it's a tall dome.
I don't buy it. It seemed to be a little... It pulled me out a little bit.
Sure. Yes, I agree. And before we talk about these last couple of scenes, anything else from the episode that anybody wants?
A couple things. Love the Tolerance is Extinction speech that runs through sort of in the first third. I thought was great. The fact that Cable has looped 200 times and the line "carbon copy mommies" I thought was good.
Oh my god!
When the Phoenix shows up and Storm's like, "Ha ha!" I was like, "Yo, Storm, what's up?" She's laughing maniacally. Fun, weird. The Sinister line, Sinister Gene exchange of that we sort of talked about this style of line. You didn't think. All I do is think.
Yeah, that was a great line. Yeah.
And shocked that we didn't get any White Queen, a character that felt like was going to get a little juice here at the end.
Yeah. Pete, before we get to the last 3 or so scenes, anything else from the episode you want to mention?
I just thought, oh man, I just was on it. The kind of the Charles Magneto stuff where like Magneto is like, I can't see my parents' faces was just so crazy. And I just... there was like a lot of really kind of cool small moments here. Like Sunspot saying his name was really fun. I just the Magneto lives just oh man. Just so crazy.
Oh, 2 things to call out, just sort of like Easter eggy. I don't think we mentioned when we were talking about cameos in the Mindscape on his boat beyond Rogue. We see shadowy versions of Magneto's children, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and Polaris over there, which is cool. And then when they open up the Magneto protocols, there's a bunch of stuff in that folder there, including what seems to be like taken straight from Magneto's Marvel trading card in terms of his power levels and everything, which I thought was very fun. But they also have his aliases. And so they have Magnus, they have Eric Lenscher. They also, oh my God, I should have written down his name, but they have the original voice actor of Magneto from X-Men, the animated series, is on there as one of his aliases. And then redacted is Ian M. and Michael F., which is Ian McKellen and Michael Fassbender. So very fun Easter egg there as well. And I think there was like 1 or 2 more. Maybe I will remember them. Why don't we talk about the last scenes, though, because that's some big stuff. I wanted to leave this for the end because this does start to get into division board stuff in terms of what's coming up in season 2, and there 100% will be a season 2. They finished writing it a while ago, and I think are already well into production on it. They're developing season 3 as well, so we're going to have this show for a good long time. But these last couple of scenes after the X-Men save the world and disappear, as we mentioned earlier, we find out via Bishop and Forge in terms of the Emma Frost tip, has a whole Days of Future Past.
Yeah, that was crazy. That wall was
old
nuts.
headshot wall.
Yeah, where he's got status of pretty much all the mutants he's keeping track of.
Do you guys do that for all your friends and family? Just have a wall and mark down?
Update the status.
Okay,
totally.
good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Healthy. sick, annoying, stuff like that.
It was interesting. So it was Jubilee, Roberto, and Cable. I think he marked AWOL, which seemed like a very Army thing to do, but also implies something is going on with them at the current time that we don't know what it is. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were marked as off-world.
Off-world.
Yeah,
And I believe, see, it's a little confusing because Captain America and Iron Man are there, but I believe the Kree-Shi'ar war is going on at the same time, and the Avengers are supposed to be off fighting in that. So
Did you
that
see-
might be where they are.
For Charles Xavier, it said Space Married.
Oh, that's weird.
There's a little smiley face.
Yeah. And
Get
for a couple of them, they were
Yeah,
like,
get present. I have
invisible
1
shirt,
year.
No shirt. No shirt, no shoes, no service. That was Colossus.
Yeah, I think it said improv shirt.
Yeah.
Yes. So we got to see a lot of mutants on that wall. Bishop reveals that they're not trapped in space. They're trapped in time. I can't
Fun
believe it.
Bishop reveal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. And then we get 3 different time periods. We get Cyclops and Jean, as we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, are 3,000+ years in the future. They are hanging out with a character named Mother Ascani.
3960 AD.
Yeah, who the voice is done by Gates McFadden, Beverly Crusher from TV
Shouts.
Star Trek The Next Generation. And we also get the reveal that Nathan, aka the younger version of Cable, is there as well. Let's talk about this scene first because this is a whole thing. Justin, I feel like this was your time period, like your kind of thing. Am I wrong about
My
that?
thing in my life.
Yeah, you like traveling in time, right, Justin?
Well, no,
Well-
because like the whole Mother Ascani thing is very complicated.
Yeah, you
It
like
is
mothers.
very complicated. And there's a series called The Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix that I think is what this is based on, where we get into a lot of the mythology of the Ascani clan. And Nathan's name, and I think where this is what we're going to hit next season, is Nathan Ascani-san, and he becomes the leader of the Ascani clan, and it's very apocalypse, sort of worshiping apocalypse, somewhat. I have to go back and reread this, especially now.
As far as I remember it, it's basically like in the comics, I think it's Apocalypse gives Cable the techno-organic virus, not Mr. Sinister. And as he gets the virus, Mother Ascani comes back in time, takes him, and is like, we're going to heal you in the future, teach you how to use your telekinesis to manage the techno-organic virus, which mutes his telekinesis a little bit, but ultimately they save him by taking him there and train him to be the warrior to destroy Apocalypse. That's what Clan Ascani's whole thing is. The thing that makes it so wild and so X-Men is Mother Ascani is actually Rachel Summers, who is an alternate universe version daughter of Jean Grey and Scott Summers. So Rachel Summers, the older version, is basically raising her brother. Neither of them, I think, know that. Also, in the miniseries you mentioned, it's a little bit different because Scott Summers and Jean Grey are just mind taken forward in time and put in the bodies of people there and are called Red and Slim. And so they help raise Nathan as well. And Nathan is like, he doesn't know that his sister, his mom, and his dad are actually working to trade him, which is...
Well, it's a reveal that the Mother Ascani is Rachel Summers later, because Rachel Summers in the comics is an established character that it would be a reveal. This, we don't really do a lot of Rachel Summers stuff in the animated series.
Well, so this is what I think was interesting in terms of them hinting it. You remember we talked about this a couple of episodes back when they were talking about Bastion's future utopia. We saw Rachel Summers with the hound markings on her, which is from that apocalyptic future where hounds were mutants forced to hunt down other mutants. And you can see that. If you look at Mother Ascani, there's like faded versions of the hound markings. So we're definitely getting that, I think, in some form.
Yeah.
I guess, Pete, you have a question about this?
I have a question.
It all seems very straightforward. So what's your question?
It doesn't. It makes me a little nervous. Was anybody else a little disappointed that they did time travel at the end of this?
No.
I thought it was definitely going to happen.
What was disappointing about it for you?
I don't know. I just, when you get into time travel and then you get the other versions, I know we're already dealing with Bishop and Cable, but I was just kind of like, fuck.
I don't know if it's going to be the whole season. I think that's definitely the place we pick up. And I like the fact that we're sending part of the team, or at least two of the team, to the end of Apocalypse, like his final battle. And then we're sending part of the team
To the
to the
beginning.
beginning of Apocalypse. That's where we pick up with, remind me if I'm forgetting anybody, Rogue, Magneto, Professor X, Beast, and Nightcrawler are all there in 3000 BC, where we meet En Sabah Nur, who is the younger version of Apocalypse, who hasn't fully become Apocalypse yet. Though there's something else going on there with an enormous dome over the Egyptian village. So we'll see what's happening there. But I think, like, we don't know who sent them through time, and that's going to be one of the big mysteries. But I do think could be Mojo. But given that we got future Apocalypse, the end of Apocalypse, beginning of Apocalypse, and then in the post-credit scene, we pick up with current present-day Apocalypse, which Forge and whatever his ragtag team that he puts together are going to have to fight in some sense. We clearly have somebody who's trying to stop Apocalypse in multiple timelines. I think that's cool.
I also think that's cool. I like that they were. We predicted last week Apocalypse was going to be a part of this. Wasn't a big part of the main episode, but it's going to be the next season. I think, given that we see 3 versions of him, I think we also the post credit. I think we're going to get the return of Gambit as one of the 4 horsemen in present day, sort of taking the Archangel role.
Also, X-Men do this. We've seen this a bunch of, like, the do you travel back in time and kill a baby Apocalypse? You know what I mean? Like, what was it? The Ghost Rider, Punisher, like, raised Apocalypse, and there was a bunch of different kind of, like, stories dealing with this. So I don't know.
Space Punisher? Is that his name?
Well, hold on. I want to mention something about that, but before I forget the thing, just to clarify or add on about the Gambit thing at the end. So we see Apocalypse in the present day, in the ruins of Genosha. He picks up some dirt. There is a burnt queen card. He says something about death. And yes, 100%, he's going to bring Gambit back as Death, one of the 4 horsemen of Apocalypse.
Oh, shit.
Gambit becomes Death in the comics for a while. It was very different circumstances. If I remember correctly, he was like pissed off with the X-Men or Rogue or something. He was like, yeah sure.
Because I don't think he actually died when that happened.
Yeah. He didn't. This is absolutely how they're going to bring him back 100%. So I'm very excited for that. And we're going to get the 4 horsemen and everything. But I think, obviously pure speculation, but versus what you're saying, Pete, in terms of the killing baby Hitler problem, I think we're almost going to get the opposite, since that seems to be the point of the show, where you now have Professor Xavier and Magneto, who have hit a different sort of détente about acceptance and tolerance back in time with the beginning of Apocalypse. I don't think they're going to be like, murder him, though that will be part of the debate. It'll probably be more about, like, how do we train him to become better than he is, so we don't get this Apocalypse.
Yeah, but we've seen that, though.
But I also think, and here's where I think they might dovetail a couple things together. It looks like the En Sabah Nur era is going to be like a mutant utopia. And I think Professor X and Magneto are going to be there and be like, oh, this is what we've sort of all dreamed of. A powerful mutant who can lead and create a safe haven for mutants. It's sort of the combination of Magneto and Professor X's dream together. But you know what that's going to cause? Apocalypse will be a good leader in the past, but will become evil and perhaps launch some sort of age of Apocalypse.
Oh,
that's my prediction. We'll get a little bit of build up, and then we do Age of Apocalypse next season.
Yes, 100% agree with that estimation. Before we wrap up here, because we've gone pretty long on this one, but that's okay. It deserves it. Anything else you want to predict or call out about the season? Anything at all?
It'll be crazy that Wolverine will be in a coma for the whole season. You know what I mean?
Well, that's an open question. We don't know where Wolverine, Storm, and Morph are. I think those are the 3 ones not accounted for. I kind of feel like, are they going to be in a 4th location, or are they just in one of these locations but somewhere else?
I gotta think. Also, Cable is going to be huge here. Like, where is the present day Cable? I gotta think that they're either all working together, and because Cable in the comics had a asteroid based moon base, which we don't know where the asteroid went. So I feel like maybe that's going to become like sort of the active X-Men team. It's called Greymalkin, named after Greymalkin Lane, where the X-Mansion is. And that's where Cable would body slide and launch all of his strikes. I think maybe he will have almost an X-Force team that maybe he's running. And maybe that will be the team that has to go and fix Age of Apocalypse. I don't know, but I feel like all those the mutants we haven't heard about definitely feel like a good team. So I think they're going to be together.
Well, I wonder if we'll even, I don't know, I was pushing this previously and it didn't quite come to pass, but I wonder if we will even have two teams in the present day, Forge's X-Factor team that he reconstitutes and Cable's X-Force team that works out of Grey Malkin or whatever else. That definitely complicates it with a lot of characters. I think the focus is still going to be on our main cast in the future, in the past, and then in the present, things are like sort of colliding as they get into the middle.
Well, you know who is a great like clash for Cable is Bishop. And if it's Bishop Forge trying to do their thing and Bishop's idea of what the future needs to be and Cable with a very different idea of what the future is, clashing in a classic like X-Force is going too hard, X-Factor's trying to play by the book, that makes a lot of sense to me. And the others are doing their own thing.
I'm going to go back and read Age of Apocalypse, man. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, in Age of Apocalypse, not to get into it too much, but what you said about going back and killing Hitler, that was launched because Legion went back in time and killed Professor X. And
Right.
that was his
But that was
dad.
accidentally, right? Like he was trying to kill Magneto and he kills Professor X instead.
He was going to, well, yeah, it doesn't make sense for him to kill his own dad because that's how he would
He
be
would stop
alive.
existing, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think Professor X sacrifices himself to save Magneto. And Legion's trying to do something good to make life better for Professor X, I think, and that ends up killing him.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how hard they go on that. As usual, I'm sure the show will riff and go in wild directions. Can't wait for it to come back. Love the show. Great show.
How long we got to wait? Like a whole year?
We don't know. They haven't announced a premiere date. I cannot imagine it's going to premiere any sooner than, a year from now. Maybe a little earlier, but like I don't think it's
A
gonna
year
be
from when I would hope they're going to aim for a year from when it launched.
Yeah.
Since they had the scripts done.
I'd have to imagine like early 2025 is when it's going to come out. But that's wild. I hope we're the same. I hope we still like X-Men then. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think we'll still like X-Men 1 year from now?
A lot can change. You never know.
Yeah, that's
Could
true.
change. Let's meet back here in 1 year, you guys.
Yeah, that sounds a good idea.
But we'll have episodes.
A lot of
before
opinions
then, for
saved
sure. Yes, we'll definitely have episodes and talk about other Marvel stuff before then. If you'd like to support the show and all the shows we do, patreon.com/Comic Book Club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Facebook and YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about X-Men or all sorts of Marvel stuff. Apple, Spotify, Android, or the app of your choice to subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Comic Book Live on Twitter/X, Comic Book Club Live on TikTok and Instagram. comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, stay marvelous.
Bonito was right.
Oh, dear.